I recently went on a first date, which means I have another dating disaster story for you. What? Me? Who would have guessed? Welcome back! So I went on another first date after months and months of choosing not to date. About once every couple months, this weird phenomenon happens where something takes over my body and makes me get on dating apps. If you've watched any of my previous dating nightmare videos, you know that usually online dating doesn't work for me, but I just have hope. For some reason, I have hope. So very recently, one peculiar night, I decided to get on OkCupid. As I'm looking through profiles, I see this man who is very beautiful. My type is generally very nerdy. I like not your typical hot guy, but this man was model-esque, chiseled jaw, man bun. He was what most people would find very attractive. And I was like, ooh, let me get that. So I read his profile and it basically says, if I don't respond to your messages, don't take it personally. I just probably don't find you that physically attractive. And I said, challenge accepted. So I sent him a message and we were messaging back and forth, and I said, well, I probably won't get back on here for a couple months. Here's my phone number if you want to continue talking. He texts me and he goes, oh my God, you're from Newcastle, Pennsylvania? And I was like, you know Newcastle, Pennsylvania? He said, yes, I grew up about 10 minutes away from you. And I thought, wow, that's gonna make our wedding really convenient. I decide we're soulmates, so naturally we make plans to hang out. I get ready and I'm actually really excited, which is strange for me because I hate dating and especially first dates. And as I'm waiting to hear from him to tell me to meet him, he says, hey, I just ate an entire weed cookie and I'm feeling kind of weird, so maybe we should cancel. So like, you knew that you were gonna hang out with someone, yet chose to eat an entire weed cookie by yourself right before. Huge turn off. I'm completely disinterested at this point. If you waste my mascara, you're dead to me. But he texts me the next day, and again, soulmates. It would be super easy to fly home for Christmas and Thanksgiving together. So I was like, let me give this another shot. He asked me if I wanted to hang out that night, and I had plans with David and a few other friends to go to a comedy show. So I sent him the flyer for the comedy show, and he was like, I don't know, it might be weird because I don't know your friends and I don't want to feel uncomfortable. And long story short, it was a lot of back and forth of like, he's coming, he's not coming, his friends are coming, but he's not, which was so weird. And at the end of the day, he didn't end up coming, but I still went to the comedy show. He asked me if he could pick me up after and if I wanted to go just grab a couple drinks, and I was like, okay, cool, sounds casual, I like it. I'm still with David at this point after the show, and I kind of don't want to meet him alone, so I say, hey, can you drop off my son David on the way? And he said, yeah, no problem. He picks up David and I, and we get in the car. Right away, he's saying really awkward things about how he's really broke and he just needs a sugar mama, and I can't tell if he's joking, but I'm like, all right, he's joking, of course. This is a joke. Drop David off, who by the way is not actually my son. We go to a cute little bar, we have a couple drinks, and the conversation is actually pretty good. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we're vibing. I can get with this. Oh, by the way, if you're following me on Twitter, I tweeted that I was on a date and I fell. That was this guy. It was so uncomfortable because he completely didn't acknowledge it at all. I was wearing 5-inch heels and I literally just collapsed in front of him, and I start laughing and he completely ignores the situation, which makes it so awkward because I know I fell, you knew I fell. Anyways, so after drinks he says, do you want me to take you home or do you want to hang out a little bit more? You're welcome to come back to my apartment and just hang, no pressure. And it was still kind of early, so I was like, yeah, we can go hang out. So we get to his apartment and I walk in. Right away, it's kind of uncomfortable because there's no couches because it's a studio apartment, which I feel your pain because I have a studio apartment. So I don't have couches. I basically just have like a couple stools and chairs and a bed. So right off the bat, it's kind of like uncomfortable, but I just got there. It would have been so awkward for me to leave. Also, it should be noted that his mattress is on the floor. Like, he had this huge Tempur-Pedic king-size $5,000 bed and he couldn't spend the extra couple $100 on a bed frame. It's just not acceptable. Get a bed frame. I digress. We start talking and he's telling me more about his music because he's a musician, and he's one of those guys who he talks about his music in a really just obnoxious way. If you don't like my music, you don't like me. I'm really talented and a lot of people ask my opinion on their music because they respect my opinion so much. Just like your typical douchey LA shit. And then my nightmare situation happened. He said, would you like to hear some of my music? Why does this always happen to me? And I said, no thank you, but I would love it if you could send me your music and I could listen to it on my own time. And he was like, why? And I said, because it makes me really uncomfortable when people play their music for me in front of them. What if I don't like it? I don't want to have to pretend like I do. I'm sure you're amazing, but I just don't want to put myself in that situation. situation. I have never seen somebody get so mad over something like that in my life. He was so personally offended. You would think that I had just set his album on fire and fucking let my dog piss on it. Like, he was so angry that I would not listen to his music. And I tried to explain it to him. That's like me asking you to watch a bunch of my YouTube videos in front of me. You know, like, it's just weird and uncomfortable. Let's just hang out and get to know each other. And he's still pouting about it. So I was like, why are you so mad? And he said, I mean, I'm not mad. I'm just confused because I've never had a girl say she didn't want to hear my music before. And I was like, well, I don't know if this is some type of pickup you're trying to do, but I'm not like a lot of girls and I don't like it. And then he kind of pulls back his aggression a little bit and he was like, oh wait, no, I didn't want to play it for you like on the computer. I wanted to sing to you right now. And I was like, well, that's worse. No, thank you. I don't even like it when people sing me happy birthday. I definitely don't want you to sit here and serenade me with your original song. And I swear to you, this boy could not just get it through his mind that a female would not want him to sing to her. Then he goes on to this rant about we couldn't possibly connect if I don't like his music because it's an extension of himself and just all this really douchey shit. After about 5 minutes, I gave up trying to respond and just put a blanket over my head and waited for him to calm the fuck down. Meanwhile, while he's doing this, he lights up a bong and takes 3 huge hits, which is a strange thing to do. Like, we weren't chilling and smoking together or something. He knows I don't smoke and he just gets like insanely high while I'm still there. After I'm silent for about 10 minutes, he realizes that he's being a little crazy, calms down and says, you know what, I'm sorry, I get it, I see where you're coming from and why it would make you uncomfortable. I guess I was just really shocked because most girls want to hear me sing. So he comes onto the bed and we're just like sitting chilling and he turns on a TV show and we're just like watching the show. I know what you're thinking. Gab, why wouldn't you leave? Because I'm very awkward in these situations and I don't know what to do. But it's fine, we're watching the show and I'm honestly kind of like falling asleep. But then he went 0 to 100 so quick, just gets crazy aggressive and is like, rah. It was a lot and I was like, what is happening? This is so strange. Just kind of came out of nowhere. So I stop it and I'm like, it's getting kind of late, I should go home. But then he asked, do you want to give me a That's not what I said. So I said, no, I'm gonna go home now. That's actually the last thing that I want to do right now. Things I would like to do instead of that: get some food, go to sleep, stab my eyes out with a pencil. So many activities on my list of things to do before that. So after some back and forth, he finally gets it that it's not gonna happen and he is angry. And again, he's just never run into a girl that didn't want to do that before. I don't know who you're hanging out with. They sound like a good time. And then he gives me this really long speech about how it's just like when you want a piece of cake really bad and then you think you're gonna get cake and then you don't get cake, you're just really disappointed because you wanted some cake. And I was like, but who told you you were gonna get cake? Gotta call my ass a Uber, I got somewhere to be. So I call the Uber and then he says my favorite thing in the entire world, which was, I mean, you wouldn't even listen to my music. I don't know why I expected you to do something like that. So I call my Uber and he says, can I give you my card? And I was like, no. He's like, oh really? You don't want my card? And I said, we've been texting for 3 days. What would I need your card for? If I need to contact you, I will look in my phone where I saved your name. And he said, yeah, but you don't have my stage name. So I was just like, I mean, you can text it to me. And then he goes, oh, I get it. You never want to talk to me again. And in my head, I was like, ding, 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 not as dumb as you seem. So after this terribly awful and uncomfortable situation, I get in my Uber and I go home. At like 3:30, 4 in the morning, I get a text message saying, hit me up next week. I really want to hang out again. And then he sent me 2 words that didn't make any sense to me. And I said, what is that? And he said, my stage name and my album. And I said, oh. Sends me the iTunes link and I listen to his song. God, they're so bad. And I didn't say anything, but I did thank God for not allowing myself to listen to that in front of him because I would have not been able to conceal my emotions. Long story short, we're getting married next fall. Like the only thing online dating has ever brought me is good stories for YouTube videos. And lesson learned, just because somebody is really beautiful and grew up 10 minutes away from you doesn't mean you're soulmates. It just makes them convenient if you ever want to get married. Make sure you let me know in the comments below if you've had any disaster date stories. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, please. I would really appreciate it. And we're gonna do Showstopper of the Week now, and that is getting better at my drum roll. Deidre Roper, again, just one of those names that I always see pop up. I noticed this week that she shared my Vine compilation on Facebook, and also if you check out her Twitter, look at her favorites. She favorites me all the time, so she's just a constant supporter and I really appreciate her. So show her some love, give her a follow. Thank you so much, Deidre. As always, I love you very much, and I'll see you next week.
About to call your ass a Uber, I got somewhere to be. I hear fairy tales about how they gon' run up on me. Well, run up when you see me, then we gon' see.